Pardon me while I have a strange interlude.
There is nothing else. Life is an obscure hobo bumming a ride on the omnibus of art.
In the misty corridors of time, and in those corridors I see figures, strange figures.
Welcome back, my friends, to the AP Strange Show. I am your host, AP Strange. This is my show, and today's show is brought to you by the voice from nowhere. And I'm not talking about my voice. I'm not talking about any of the voices you'll be hearing tonight, because you may hear several, but I'm talking about the voice from nowhere. You'll know it when you hear it. So tonight on the show, this is going to be a lot of fun. I recently read her book. April Brucker, she's she's a ventriloquist first and foremost, a writer, obviously, because she has a book, an actress, comedienne, longtime television personality, has done all kinds of stuff. If I read her entire bio, then the notes that I put down, we'd be here for a long time and just staring awkwardly at each other on the Zoom camera. So the book is 250 Years of American Ventriloquism, which is just one of her titles. And I'm thrilled to have her on to talk, to vent a bit. I think we're going to be venting tonight. So welcome to the show, April.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm glad you enjoyed the book.
I did. I was telling you before we got recording, it was this was a lot of fun for me, and I could tell it was fun for you to write. That came through in the writing, and it was the kind of book, and this isn't always true. I don't say this to all my guests, just in case you're wondering. But it was the kind of book that every time I read a chapter, I'd put it down and get up to do something, and then not have anything to do. I'm like, well, I could read another chapter. I got time. I had to keep going back to it. So it was a lot of fun for me.
Thank you. And it was a lot of fun to write, because when I was writing the book, and I have it right here, I'm just going to show everybody,
Right.
250 Years of American Ventriloquism. It was the kind of book that as I was writing it, it would pull me in, because as a writer, they tell you, write it, put it back in the drawer, write it, put it back in the drawer. I couldn't. Like, there were days that I just stayed at the computer just writing, because it was a story that demanded to be told, and it
Mhm.
just came out through my fingertips like. And I think, without getting too up in the clouds, I think American ventriloquism, nobody had ever written about it. And it was a story that needed to be told, because you're in Canada, and America was, well, the United States, because North America is Canada, Mexico, then
Right.
Central America. The United States, I just want to be correct, was turning 250 years old, and nobody had told the story of ventriloquism in the United States. And when I say
Mhm.
American, I mean United States. And it had only survived in newspaper articles, interviews, television clips. And I have an MFA in creative writing from Antioch, and I'm a professional ventriloquist. And I thought, why am I not doing this? And my manager, Clinton Ford Billups Jr., had mentioned this. And so I'd done my research. January 1st comes around. Uh-oh. And it became like this labor of love.
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad you did it. And I mean, you do have the creative writing credentials, but I thought it was kind of interesting. You made a point to mention in here that um, that you weren't doing this as a scholarly endeavor necessarily. So it's like, but it was a fun kind of like deep dive into, how it all kind of started
Oh, absolutely.
specifically in the United States, and the various turns it took, and how it influenced pop culture, which I thought was wonderful.
Absolutely. And ventriloquism, and you see, I wrote this as a ventriloquist, like you said, first and foremost, because I had always been a practitioner. And what better and I'm tooting my own horn, what better person to write a history book on ventriloquism than a ventriloquist with a creative writing background. Because when you write a book, a lot of times agents, publishers say, why should you be the one to write the book? Well, I'm a professional ventriloquist. And as I was writing it, I realized that I was part of a much bigger story. Like, I'm very lucky to be a footnote in it. And here in the
Mhm.
United States, and I'm sure it's the case in Canada, but ventriloquism has always been at the cornerstone of our culture, whether it's Wild West medicine shows, vaudeville, radio, television, now the internet, and every social movement, whether it was civil rights with Willie Tyler and Lester, who were the first black series regulars on Laugh-In, Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop, and she was a girl boss. That's the women's movement, along with Mary
Mhm.
Tyler Moore, or Wayland Flowers and Madam, who were very openly queer on Laugh-In back in the 70s.
Right.
So, with the LGBTQ movement. So, it's been at the cornerstone of everything, really.
Yeah, and it's managed to, well, like you said, it broke ground in some of those respects for certain types of performers and for marginalized groups to have a voice at all, right?
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, and I'm sure you remember this from the book, but those of you that haven't read it, the first black superstar in ventriloquism in the United States was a man by the name of Richard Potter. And he performed in the 18 teens, 1820s. He learned ventriloquism from John Ranney in Scotland. And he came back and he toured the United States. As a performer, he was a magician, he was a hypnotist, and he was also a ventriloquist. And Richard Potter toured the Deep South. I just want to put that out there as a black man when slavery was very much legal in the United States. It was not illegal in the United States until 1865. And when did
Mhm.
it become illegal in Canada? Probably much sooner.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
much sooner.
much sooner. But
Yeah.
because ventriloquism allots people opportunities and it creates a voice, it created this tremendous opportunity for this very talented performer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's crazy to think of that far back because I, not knowing the history myself, picking up the book, I said, well, 250 years. So, I mean, your cover has pretty much Revolutionary War motif with the puppets and everything. So, I was like, really, right at the beginning, like that far back?
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, that far back, and I will say
Yeah.
this: Richard Potter. For those of you that don't know, he was the inspiration for Samuel Peyton on Peyton Place. It's an old soap opera. Are you talking about old soap operas? That is so dramatic. Mae Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Why, hello. Are you AP
Hi, May.
Strange? It is
I,
strange that I just hop up right here and I think that you're as handsome as you are.
well, thank you, May. I appreciate that.
I just
Um,
want to say that
I,
you're the most handsome man that I'm seeing right now.
Really? I bet you say that to all the podcast hosts.
No, 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 no. You are the most handsome man that I'm seeing. You're right in front of me. I'm seeing you, and you are very handsome.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I actually did have a question for May. May, did you feel slighted for not having your name on the cover of the book since you do appear in it?
Listen, I will let the Revolutionary War puppets have the front cover. Okay, I'm going to tell you a secret. I ghost wrote this whole thing. April's taking the credit, Meg. This is written by April Brucker. No, it's written by Mae Wilson. It is written by April Brucker. No, no, it's written by Mae Wilson. It is written by April Brucker. No, it's written by Mae Wilson. It's written by April Brucker. You just said that was written by Mae Wilson. I said no such thing. Yes, you did. You're putting words in my mouth. This is what I live with constantly. But May, we were talking about, so we're talking about the history of America. I just want to say that my people might not have built the rail lines, but we certainly built the punch lines.
Yeah, well, I gotta give you the credit for that. So,
So, but your people were around. We had touring performers throwing their voices when America was colonies. And but May, were your people at Lexington and Concord? No, wait, your people weren't at Lexington and Concord? They were not. It wasn't okay, gig.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean that makes sense. So
Yes, what is the story of my people? Your people? Textile wooden Americans, duh.
well, what about the lumber aspect of it? Because a lot of puppets were wood back in the day.
Like I said, wooden Americans.
Wooden Americans. Okay. Yeah.
Wooden.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that April can't talk. May, this is where you're blaming me for everything again. I do all the work, she takes all the credit. People like myself have toiled in the shadows of people like April who have gotten all the credit. It's a crime, the horror, the travesty. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I kicked the hornet's nest with that one. I had meant not
yeah, go
necessarily
on.
that you get the cover. Like I thought May's name should have been, maybe the writing credits would be April Brucker and Mae Wilson,
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you for
right.
being a friend to textile and wooden Americans.
Well, I try to my best to be an ally to that specific
See, you are
marginalized
an
group.
ally. April, you are an anti-textile. Wait, how am I an anti-textile? You live with me. Let me explain something. April would have no career if it was not for law. Okay, I would love to hear this. So, April was on My Strange Addiction after her fiance made her choose between him and the caucus. This is true. I was. Okay, so she meets this loser. Yeah, I will give you that. He was a loser. He proposes on the third date. That was completely true. He totally did. And what happened next? April chooses him. Okay, I only chose him for a year, May. It was the worst year of my life. Serves you right. So April misses moi. Yeah, that's right. So I missed him because, shocker, the relationship got worse. And I looked at you, May. You were under the bed, and I was collecting dust and bugs. Okay, bugs. Bugs? Yes, and not the fun kind like Sydney Sweeney has. All right? So, you were collecting bugs, and I said, I miss you. And I said, you know what you have to do? So we walk into the kitchen. I have May on my arm. I said, April's chosen. Sayonara. Yeah, he got dumped with a puppet. Textile American on his arm. Sorry, May. So,
Right.
anyway, we end up on My Strange Addiction and we're going through the airport. And you know how security goes beep.
Yep. Yep.
So, anyway, May gets, whatchamacallit, she gets, our suitcase gets flagged. So, May, tell him what happened next. So the guy opens the suitcase and April calls me out and he says, OMG, that's a very famous puppet. He really did.
Wow.
Yeah, May got recognized from television and not me. Sounds right. You see, I'm a star, and right now you are treating me as you would any show business celebrity.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, a textile breakup. That's much more harsh than a text message breakup, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good. A textile breakup, yeah. And so, but it's
Yeah,
true. The May is the reason I have a career, and but May, you did help with the book. Yes, as you know, I gave my 2 cents during the writing of the book. If you read it, the font changes as if May.
right. Well, I see, I was just trying to give credit where it was due,
Thank you. This is
yeah.
why I like you. So, I guess the next question is, are you a wealthy man?
No, actually.
This conversation is so ogre guy.
Well, you know, you win some, you lose some. So, welcome
I'm so
back,
sorry
April.
about that. I am so sorry. She does this all the time.
Yeah,
I bring her on, she hits on the host, and then she finds out he's broke and it's over. I mean,
right. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I'm already spoken for too, so I guess
yeah, May, he's got a wife. Not that that's ever stopped her. But
right.
anyway.
Yeah. Um,
I'm sure
Wonderful.
she'll
So,
appreciate that. I'm sure she'll appreciate me refraining.
yeah. So I mean that does bring to mind. I was going to ask you about this. Your experience on My Strange Addiction. So that, I mean that kind of launched you in a number of ways and launched the career. But what was the experience of being on the show like?
Oh gosh, it was really crazy because after I left my fiance, I used every hour that God sent me to become the best ventriloquist that I could be, or
Hmm.
whoever's up there. And I performed anywhere that they would allow me. And one of the places that I performed was Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I was working for a flea market, and Mae Wilson was on my arm, and this guy comes up, takes my picture with May, and I'm chatting him up. He's attractive. And I tell him I left my fiance for my puppets. And he says, well, my girlfriend doesn't always understand my camera. And the second I hear girlfriend, I just shut down, like, yeah. So fast forward,
Yeah.
a year later, I get a phone call. Hey, is it true you left your fiance for your puppets?
Yeah.
And I say, there was more to the story. Well, our production assistant's boyfriend took your photo. And from there, and he's in, blah, blah. And we heard about you and we have this new show called My Strange Addiction. So I was like, okay, let's see where
Hmm.
this goes. So they sent me, so within a day, I was on a web call with the producer. And within a month, they were in my apartment following me around. And it happened very quickly. The next thing I knew, I was on the press tour. I was going around New York City with Mae Wilson in a little black car. I was like a celebritata in a way. And, because here I was, performing anywhere that they would allow me, delivering singing telegrams, schlepping up 4 flights of stairs. My legs were tired. I was eating cart food. And all of a sudden, I'm going around New York City in a little black car. Like, I'm styling. And
Right.
so it was cool. I got to do the press tour. I got to see how television was made. One of the craziest ones was I won't name the show,
Hmm.
but I was sitting in the corner of a room, and this woman who had brown hair, and she was like a mom type, was interviewing me, and the heater was hissing. And they said, you're going to be on television tonight. And I was like, there's no way this is going to make it anywhere. That night, bam.
Wow. Yeah. So that was before you were on TV because you had your own show for a long time, huh?
Yeah, I had story time with April and Friends. It was a public access show. I mailed the tapes. I mailed my little DVDs to public access stations all over the world. I had a public access station called April Talk where I interviewed people like I'm speaking to you now. I was not as good as
Mhm.
you. I had April Rock where I interviewed bands. I was not as good as you at that either, but we can all try. But story time with April and Friends, I read bedtime stories to children.
Hmm.
And so fast forward, um, I'm on My Strange Addiction many years later, and some of those episodes started to make a comeback. But one of the most fascinating things was it was the first time I was recognized on the street, which was
Hmm.
crazy. And the other thing that was fascinating is it's available on streaming now all over the world. Streaming has kept the show alive. And so I get fan letters, I get marriage proposals, and I get prisoners from Croatia wanting to chat me up.
What else could you ask for? Uh,
Yeah. And the way I found out he was a prisoner in Croatia, because he was so sweet, okay? Nenad was adorable, was I ended up um, not only streaming all over the world, but the Daily Mail did a story on me and my children. That's what I call my puppets that went viral. So we were all over the world. We got fan mail. Like there was a guy from India calling me on Facebook wanting to marry me. That's how I found out I had made the paper in India. Yes, random marriage proposals. He told me he had a job, but anyway, I get this lovely fan letter from Nenad about how he loves me, loves my puppets, and he just would do anything for me. So At the time I had a pinup calendar and I said, Nenad, why not buy a pinup calendar? He said, I can't
Yeah.
get mail where I'm at. I'm like, maybe he's spoken for like you are, and his wife wouldn't like it so much. So he says, I am 5 years in, but in 50 years, I will be able to hug you. And I was like, this is weird. And then I found out that one, he was a Croatian prisoner, and two, they get tablets apparently in prison there.
Ah,
And he'd
okay.
seen me on My Strange Addiction. Then I had an inmate. He was in, I want to say Juliet. And if you've seen the Blues Brothers, you know Juliet. And
Yeah. One of my favorite movies.
yes, good movie.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he was in Juliet Correctional Facility, and he was locked up with a kid that I performed comedy with that had gotten into drugs, and I kind of lost touch with him. But the kid always had my number because, I always thought he was a good person, whatever. So I get this phone call. You have a collect call from Juliet Correctional Facility. And I'm hoping that it's Elwood Blues. Okay. That's all I
Yeah.
was hoping. It was Elwood. It was Elwood or Jake, but no such luck. But I was just curious. So I pick up and he goes, Hi, my name is Tyrone. And I say, Hi, Tyrone. He said, You don't know me, but I got your number from New York. And I'm like, Okay. He said, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of put two and two together. He said, I saw you on My Strange Addiction. And he said that he knew you and that you were friendly and that you talk. And I was like, Okay. And he said, And just so you know, I really love you. I love your puppets. The whole cell block loves your puppets.
Wow.
And I said, So, Tyrone, how long are you in for? He said, Natural life, but I'm innocent.
Yeah, I think they all are
Yeah,
if you get it from them.
yeah, exactly. They're all innocent. But,
Yeah.
Tyrone was just an innocent man. I mean, he's one of my fans, so he's innocent. I don't know. He's probably
Yeah.
not.
And he was struck. He was struck by your appearance on TV, and I imagine May had something to do with it too. So yeah.
would you like me to get May back and ask her?
I'm saying
May,
it probably her charm probably was
May,
part of that
because May gets
equation.
fan
Yeah.
mail.
I'd believe it. Of
Why,
course she does.
hello.
Hey.
How are you again? I know that you're
I'm
not wealthy, but I can overlook that temporarily.
That's a well, I was asking about your charm, your inherent charm, and
You see, it's a good thing that you asked because men use me to get to April. That is not true. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. We actually had another instance where, should we tell this story? I think we should. A We were on the road and it was our first time featuring in Omaha, Nebraska. Have you ever been to Omaha?
I have not, but I have a good friend there.
Well, what's in Omaha? Cornfields, okay? And nothing good ever happens in cornfields. That's true, man. So, anyway, this guy comes up to us after the show, and he looks like Sling Blade. And you've seen Sling Blade, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he looks like Sling Blade.
Right.
And he says, and tobacco's running into the teeth. He says, I want to have a threesome with you and your puppet. I said, the name is Mae Wilson. Okay, yeah, he did.
Right.
So he wanted to have a threesome with me and May. And at first I thought he was laughing. I thought it was funny.
Hmm.
And so then he said, I want to take you to the farmhouse up the road. What could possibly go wrong? So he starts telling me that he wants to start by having sex with May and finishing with me. And then, it's kind of like a group sex kind of thing. So, anyways, it's like real nasty. So,
Hmm.
anyway, his focus is on May. He is
Yeah.
focused on May. It's just like I'm just kind of a fixture. And so he says, I will give you $500. And he flashes five $100 bills.
Hmm.
Now, if you know anything about stand-up comedy, you know that, feature work does not pay a lot of money. And so May and I are palavering, and I said, May, this could get us killed. And I said, April, it's $500 we didn't have before, and I need a new weave. So he says farmhouse up the road again. And I just picture May. How did you picture yourself? In a crop circle with my stuffing cut out, okay? And I pictured myself possibly becoming a cushion, or no, 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 I become the cushioning girl. You just, vanish and be on a milk carton, all right? I'm the one that's textile American. Come on. But anyway, so we're palavering, and so I have a bad feeling, but there's always room for negotiation. So May says $500. He says yes, and I said for the both of us, and he said yes. And I said, listen, I'm a specialty performer. It's $1,000 minimum for me. Okay, pal? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I would think a lot of people would be reaching for their mace well
Oh,
before
yes,
he got
yes.
to that far into the
Yeah, and then May, you've gotten people that have asked for photos of your feet, of course. Then she's had people you've gotten into fights with, like you've gotten into fights with people. Yes, I have.
Well,
Let's
I
see.
was I was going to ask about that, but wait a minute. We need to rewind a little bit. So there are people with puppet foot fetishes,
Oh, there are people who are into puppets.
but puppet feet specifically.
You want puppet feet, puppet everything. They're just a
Uh,
bunch of Geppetto-philes.
all right. Well, there you go. I feel like I need the bucket of fish set up over here.
You do. You totally do. You do. They
Um,
real oh God. But yeah, so you were gonna ask if May ever got hate mail?
I was going to ask if May ever got into an altercation because I think that comes up in the book, right?
Oh, she got into several altercations. One, you almost got stabbed in Brooklyn, right? Yes, April and I were doing a show, and this homeless guy didn't like it, and he started chasing us and threatened to kill us. Yeah, there was one. Then a second time, we were performing in Las Vegas, and we had a joke about Craigslist.
Mhm.
And May, um, there was an audience member that didn't like the joke. She kept saying the Craigslist killer killed my family, just kind of exploding. I think she was having a bad night. And
Yeah.
security's trying to calm her down. She's not shutting up. And I said, well, it's unfortunate because I guess the Craigslist killer got the wrong family member.
Ah, yeah,
And
that'd do it.
and so anyway, she starts screaming, she's being let out. The audience gives her a round of applause. Everybody thought we hired her. She went in the log as the person that asked for a refund because she got into a fight with a puppet. Textile American. Yeah, and then you almost got punched on What Would You Do, didn't you? Yes, I did. When May was on What Would You Do? Well, we were
Hmm.
on What Would You Do? It's an ABC show for those of you that don't know. May was making fun of a homeless woman who was also an actor. And this doorman who's having a cigarette says, excuse me, stop making fun of the homeless woman. And I said, it's not me, it's her, because it's always my fault.
Right.
And John Quinones from What Would You Do comes out, and he's like, blah, blah, And so, but of course, I'm like, it's not me, it's her. And before John comes out, just to backtrack, see, Carl, you're the dummy, you screwed the story up. He says, well, when the cops come, they're going to arrest both of you. So anyway, they come out. And so, of course, he's like, you're making fun of a homeless woman. They're like, no, the homeless woman's an actor. He had to have a stress cigarette before talking to the team. But the other thing
Yeah.
was another woman was so angry with May that she couldn't be interviewed.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so crazy. You know what they say, if you want to get angry, watch television getting laid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no new there's no news is bad news, really. I mean, you get kind of a reputation, right, May? Um,
Of course. And didn't you get a hate letter after Judge Jerry? Yes, this woman, May sued a Las Vegas promoter on Judge Jerry, said that I made a mockery of the judicial system. She really did.
Huh.
Yeah. But anyway, but somebody else told you but somebody was very encouraging. He said that I fought hard at my trial.
Okay. All right.
I know.
What was the suit? Like what was the
The
legal case
lawsuit, and
going?
this was Judge Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer had a court show, because where else would I appear?
Right.
And May sued a Las Vegas promoter for not paying her. They paid me and not her. Equal pay
Okay.
for puppets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, that's got to be rough because I understand that a lot of banks probably won't give like loans or accounts or credit cards to textile Americans. So that
Thank
must
you for
be
being so sympathetic to my plight.
you're
I
very
wouldn't give
welcome,
you a
May.
credit card,
Yeah.
May. You'd max that out in a day. I wouldn't give you a credit card because I know you. As if I would get my sugar daddy to pay the bill every month. Duh.
And yeah, just to be clear, you have to look somewhere else for that because that ain't me. But
You know what? Like I said, this conversation is over. I can't overlook that anymore. But, she's not the only one of my puppets to get threats, actually.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, I think that was in your book as well, right? You
Yep,
do
that
a
was
bit
a
of political styled puppetry as well, and sometimes people don't take too well to that, right?
no, because the question in my book is how much can puppets get away with? And the answer is quite a bit. Okay.
Right.
Because the beautiful thing about a puppet is a puppet can say all the things that we can't say as people.
Hmm.
They
Right.
can get away with anything. And that's why, and I talk about this in my book, in the 1950s, when ventriloquists were on Ed Sullivan, ventriloquism made its way into American living rooms. You had Jimmy Nelson, Senor Vences, but you also had Paul Winchell with his show, Winchell,
Hmm.
with Jerry Mahoney, Knucklehead, and it kind of laid the groundwork for what became the sitcom. It was one of the shows because you had Leave It to Beaver, but these were children. There was a lesson. It was the clubhouse format. And puppets were used to teach children lessons, to have conversations about you shouldn't lie to your parents. And even before
Hmm.
that, Charlie McCarthy was getting away with an awful lot on the radio. And for those of you that don't know, Charlie McCarthy was the other half of Edgar Bergen, who
Right.
was a famous ventriloquist. And Charlie was very famous on the radio, as was Edgar. They were a famous duo. And people wrote Charlie McCarthy letters. They didn't know that Charlie was a dummy. They didn't know he was wooden. They thought he was real.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
was
and
before influencers and all that other rigmarole.
right. And I mean, he's one of the ones that I was more familiar with because he was a very prominent figure for the time. For a long time. He had a long career.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
But I had made the joke years ago that I wanted to do a ventriloquism act for the radio, and then realized like, well, that was what Edgar Bergen did. Like
He
he
did.
was
He
on
did
the
a vent
radio for
act
a
for the
long.
radio. Yep. And
Yeah.
he also, when you think of it, Edgar and Charlie, like now you have whack packers on that do a lot of different voices. You have a lot of characters. Charlie laid the groundwork for that. Edgar and Charlie were the ventriloquist dummy and the wise, like the straight man and the ventriloquist dummy, the wisecracking sidekick. And if you listen to morning radio, you
Hmm.
have the straight man and the wisecracking sidekick. Morning television, you have the straight man host, the wisecracking sidekick. And
Right.
so I'm not saying they invented it, but because of their popularity, they helped lay the groundwork.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a comedy duo, even though it's one person. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other thing was ventriloquists were probably the most versatile entertainers, and this is why ventriloquism has continued to thrive to come out of vaudeville. Because when you think of it, a ventriloquist had to be the straight man and the wisecracking sidekick. Okay, Abbott could be Abbott, Costello could be Costello.
Hmm.
You had to play both roles. That guy on your arm had to be extremely believable. A lot of times you also had to have a great routine. You had to write. They sang. And then when they got to different towns, they had to adapt their show to different stages, etc. And so that's why ventriloquism has continued to thrive, is because the community has always been good at adapting.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's been a supportive community too, from what I understand.
Oh, very. And just to let you know how supportive, I have a there's an online platform called School. Are you familiar?
No.
Okay. School, it's an online platform. They have different groups.
Oh, is it
And
school with a K?
yes,
Okay, yeah, I have heard of this. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
SKOOL. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
my my group, and it's by invitation only, is the Ventriloquist Guild. And there was a young man, and you're familiar with the laws in Cuba restricting access to things. He
Hmm.
was from Cuba, and he's a birthday party performer, and he very much wanted to learn ventriloquism, but because of the sanctions with the literature, he couldn't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
So he wrote to the community. He said, I want to learn ventriloquism, but because of the government, I don't have the books, whatever. People sent him PDFs of what they had.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's great. It's kind of uh oh, it's like comedy crossing borders.
Yep.
I think of like Doctors Without Borders, but it's kind of like Vents Without Borders, you know?
It is. And we
Yeah.
get and I've, because of the internet, there we get members from all over the world. And
Yeah.
some of them English is a second language. And you learn about talent from all over the world. And there's a lot of good talent out there. And a lot of the reason that Vent has stayed alive is, the people. We are very serious about passing it down. It's like magic, you
Mhm.
know?
Right. And it seems like it's gone through like waves of popularity, but it's always kind of um it's always just kind of there. Like and the imprint of Vent is there. Um I thought it was interesting because I didn't really know this, but it was David Letterman was a big champion
Oh,
of Vent.
yes, yes, because Johnny Carson, his mentor, had
Yeah.
started out as a ventriloquist.
Right, right. So they had like Vent Week on the program, and this
Yep,
is
they
something
had
that was news to
ventriloquist
me.
week several
Yeah.
times, yes. And Otto Peterson, who I had the pleasure of working with when he was alive, appeared, and Otto had the bluest act in the world. When he was on ventriloquist week on Letterman, everybody's like, oh my God, is he going to drop the F bomb? No. Otto killed it because Otto showed, hey, George and I can be funny anytime, any place, anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that goes with
Well,
the adaptability of the ventriloquist, yes.
right. Well, speaking of adaptability, I mean, when you got to the Senor Ventus stuff with just using his hand and not having a head for the dummy or the head in the box, like that kind of thing. Um, I was happy to read that chapter because I always grew up with the references to his act. The whole "it's all right, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right." And I never really knew what it was, but now I do. And I looked up like a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and I was like, "This is great."
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Jay Marshall's amazing. And you just have these guys that their creativity is so inspiring. Because for
Hmm.
those of you that don't know, Senor Vences, the reason he had the guy in the box was he was performing on the circuit. He was on his way to his show, and they say expect the unexpected because that's just life in show business. The train crashed, the puppets lost their head. And you don't tell an agent, hey, my puppet died in a train crash. You got to think. And, he thought. And it was very creative. And the whole act was creative. And he performed well into his 90s. He lived to be 103 years old. And he was a trailblazer for older performers because oftentimes people are afraid to hire older performers. But here
Hmm.
comes this guy, David Letterman was awestruck when he met him. He was a huge inspiration for Jim Henson, as was
Yeah.
Jerry Mahoney, because Henson's big thing was puppets having difficult conversations. But Jim Henson, Senor Ventures appeared in a puppet movie. He was like he was a fanboy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's great. It's great to revisit this stuff. I feel like I ended up watching, I probably screwed up my YouTube algorithm now because it's going to be recommending tons of event stuff to me now. But that's fine because I was really enjoying doing like a deep dive, just, looking up people that you reference in the book.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. And
yeah.
the thing is that it's like I wish I could have included every ventriloquist ever because there's just so much amazing talent out there. And I'm huge Donald J. Tramp.
Oh, okay. Donald J. Tramp has entered the conversation.
And I just want
Hello.
to say that I love this show. And I love AP Strange. And AP Strange loves me. And this show is huge, just like my hands.
Like your hands?
Yes, my hands are huge. Okay, but President Trump.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
if you say so. But
so where are you located?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts? Okay, so he's in Massachusetts. What do you have to say to him? Well, I love Massachusetts. Massachusetts loves me.
Yep. Okay. All right.
That's not completely true. But President Trump, what? Why are you qualified to be president? Well, April, I have billions and billions of dollars. I'm the master of everything. I was president of my own university. Trump University, you were sued for fraud. Shut up, April. We have a triple A rating. Wait, the Better Business Bureau gave you a triple A rating? No, a triple K rating. K, K, K.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So President Trump, um, you you are a racist. Fake news. With these legs, does it look like I run? So you keep talking about how you are going to build the wall, but then you didn't. Would you consider that a lie? Well, April, I wasn't a career politician when I ran, but now I am. Look at how good I'm doing my job. But how do you intend to solve the illegal immigration problem? Well, April, I intended to court them one by one and Jose by Jose. I told this joke on the AP Strange show and thought, what could possibly go wrong? But President Trump, where's your wife these days? Melanoma, Melania. Melanoma, Melania. Melancholia, Melania. Where is she? I don't know. Would you like to be my fourth wife? You have a wife. Well, it's America. What can I say? I always need the newest, hottest, youngest foreign import. Thank you for the But despite your immigration policies, all your wives are foreign born. What can I say, girl? There are some jobs that even Americans won't do.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
So, what are you doing with yourself? You know, you're president. I'm writing music. Please don't. Please, no. Do you want to hear one of my songs? No, I don't want to hear one of my songs. Oh, where can Mitch McConnell be? The GOP took him away from me. He's gone to rehab, so I got to be good. So I can see the Green Reaper when I leave this world. You mean Grim Reaper? No, Green Reaper. No, Grim Reaper. You said Green Reaper. Exactly, because Greenland is the next state. No, it's not. Any parting words? Yes. Now that I'm president again, I'm going to make America white again. Excuse me? No. I'm going to make America great again. But you said white. Great, white. What's the difference? President Trump.
All right, President Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't expecting him. He must have had a stopover on his way to Vegas.
Oh God, yes. During the election, those guys went to Vegas like every day. I swear, every week.
Yeah,
Vegas, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Pittsburgh.
right, right. Yeah, so I mean, and you had you were doing an act with both sides of the ticket during that time, right? Too. So
Yes. Yes, I also had Joe Biden time. Would you like him to come out?
well, we might as well. We got to get both sides of the
Mr.
political
President.
spectrum here. Yeah. As long
Yeah,
as they
we
don't start fighting, you know.
oh they won't. I've had them both. They won't. President Biden time. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, this is where the magic happens.
And you just got home from work at Walmart. Is
Yes,
that
you go. So President Biden time. He's waking up, had his nap. Hello, young man. Where's your receipt? President Biden time.
yeah.
What are you
Okay.
doing now that you're no longer president? Well, an ambassador. An ambassador to where? I'm a Walmart ambassador.
That okay. Great, great. Yeah.
Excuse me. Where's your receipt? President Biden time. This is AP Strange. Oh, AP Strange. Nice young man. So, you're working at Walmart now. Yes, I am. It gets me out of the house and it gets me away from Jill. Uh-huh. The food she feeds me is good. She doesn't keep me locked in the basement. Really? Let me say that again. The food she feeds me is good. She doesn't keep me locked in the basement. Okay. You said that. So how are you doing, President Biden time? Knock on wood, I'm as quick as a whip. Knock on wood, I'm as strong as an ox. Knock on wood. Who are you again? AP Strange. Oh, AP Strange. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Ew, ew, what are you doing?
Just getting a good sniff, huh? Yeah.
Sorry, my sense of sight isn't what it used to be. So I use my nose just like my dog Major. So, is there anything you'd like to tell everybody? Yes, there is. Here's the deal. The fact of the matter is, April wrote a book. Number one, it's called 250 Years of American Ventriloquism. Number two, it's available wherever books are sold. Number four, wait, number four, Mr. President? Yes, number four. Who are you again and what are you doing in my living room?
Well, it says on the bottom of the screen here, it says AP Strange. That's
Oh,
me.
AP
Yeah.
Strange, where's your receipt? I
Yeah.
can't let you go without your receipt.
Yeah, I'm sure I have it here somewhere.
I'm good, thank you. What?
All right.
Oh my God, he's going to sleep.
I'm kind of surprised President Trump didn't do that.
Oh, I'm sure he's doing that now.
Right,
Who are
yeah.
you again? Where's your receipt? Right. Okay, it's time for your nap. I will say this to the both of them. Like, you're how old? Go enjoy your grandchildren. Why the hell would you want to be president? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel the same way. You know, it's like I hope I I'm in my 40s and I would love to retire now if I could.
Do you have
Yeah.
kids? Do you have kids?
One. I have one, yeah.
How old's your kid?
He's almost 18.
So he's almost 18, and
Yeah,
maybe a decade or two, he'll have a kid himself. And
right.
you'll be, let's just say, how you're in your 40s. Let's just say you're 42, right?
You're pretty close. I'm gonna be 44 this year, I think.
So
If
you
I can
were
do math, yeah.
okay, so 44. So
Yeah.
20 years from now, you'll be 64. At 84, would you want to be president?
No.
No, that's the program these guys are on. I don't get it.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I'm lucky I've lived
it,
as long as I have. I don't know how that happened.
yeah, I mean, well, people are just wired differently, I guess, you know. It's a
Yes.
some people really want that power and prestige and money and all that stuff.
And high
Actually,
blood
that
pressure.
sounds right. Yeah. I can do without it, honestly. I mean, because then, I have to, I have to, put up the brakes with insistent women like May, like
Mhm.
it's
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
it's easier being broke. Yeah.
I know. Well, here's the other thing. It's like here you are,
Mm,
you you're president, but it's the most stressful job in the world. I mean, Obama was a handsome man when he entered.
mhm.
He exited the White House a shell of himself, gray hair.
Yeah.
Uh LBJ, ripping and roaring. He was ready to take on the world. Year after he left, he's dead.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very stressful job.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine wanting it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. What you do seems like a lot more fun, you
It is
know.
a lot more fun. I mean, it's got its stresses, but it's a lot more fun because I get to make fun of the presidents.
Right. And everybody else. And then blame it on the textile American that's sitting on your lap.
That's true, I do. And I blame it on them constantly. And believe it or not, they get away with a lot. So,
Yeah, yeah. And that is a central theme in your book is getting away with it. Because I mean there's kind of an impishness inherent that can sometimes become sinister, right? So that this is a nice little segue here because we talked about it a little before the show, but the it just kind of like the archetype as it were, like in pop culture of like the sinister uh ventriloquist dummy, like the classic wooden one. Um, it has its influence in like horror and all that other stuff, along with the comedic and important things. So I liked that you included that in the book and you didn't shy away from it,
no,
um, because
it is
it's part of
very
the
important.
story.
And you
Yeah,
get a lot of purists who want to shy away from it. But the important thing is that I don't, because the origins of ventriloquism, it actually has some dark origins.
yeah.
The first ventriloquist was the Oracle of Delphi. And for those of you that don't understand, in ancient Greece, people used to go to the oracle and say, help me with this, help me with that, give me advice. And it would be a high priestess throwing her voice. So she was a
Hmm.
ventriloquist. Um, she can be a little messed up. Ask Oedipus Rex.
Yeah.
And then it was a practice as a part of the religious ceremonies in Africa. And the African culture believed that the dead lived in the gut. So
Mm,
some of the first ventriloquists actually came over on the slave ships. We don't get an A for that in the United States. And
yeah.
then, of course, we tried to erase their cultures. But this is the irony. A lot of the lawmakers, especially early Massachusetts Bay, etc., were translating Greek because of the Ivy League schools. They learned Greek, they translated it, a lot of the early ministers, lawyers, and they were translating the Oracle of Delphi. So that's the irony
Mm,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it had some dark origins to begin with, but fast forward, ventriloquism becomes comedy with the advent of Fred Russell and Coster Joe from the British music halls coming to the United States in the late 1890s. And all of a sudden, it's like you see this man talking to a doll, and it's lifelike, and they're palavering back and forth. And the doll has a real quality, and Hollywood leans into it with the Great Gabbo. The Twilight Zone leans into it. Tales
Mm,
from the Crypt, Goosebumps, the most recent Toy Story. A lot
yeah.
of things leaned into it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard for me to think about the concept without thinking of like those Twilight Zone episodes. And I think there might have been an Outer Limits one as well.
Yes, Outer
Uh,
Limits. Yep, that was a young
yeah,
William Shatner
right.
where his where he played a ventriloquist, and I believe it was I forget the actress. It's going to come to me. I wrote about it. I should know. She was obsessed with the character.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
his the and she falls in love with him, and there's a twist at the end. That's all I can tell you. There's a twist.
right. Yeah, people will
Yeah,
have to go look it up. Um,
yeah, and even the Tales from the Crypt with Don Rickles was in
yeah,
that one with
and
Bobcat
Buckhead
Goldthwait.
Goldthwait.
You've seen
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Yes. Well, I accidentally watched it the other night because I found it. on streaming. I was like, oh, Tales from the Crypt. I'm like, I haven't watched this in ages, and I threw it on. And I'm like, and it just kind of happened to be that episode. I just watched it because it was Don Rickles. I'm like, Don Rickles was in an episode, and then turned out that was it just serendipity, I guess. It
Oh, it
happened to
was
be, yeah,
serendipity because the other
yeah,
thing too is I remember seeing it when I was a kid because we were told you are not watching Tales from the Crypt. It's too scary for your little sister. Little sister got scared
yeah,
at
right.
everything. My brother always liked it. I saw the episode before I picked up a puppet, and I was like, this is cool.
Hmm.
Then years later, when YouTube became a thing, somebody sent me a link. Have you seen this? So I watch Tales from the Crypt every Halloween season. I love Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had a similar experience with Tales from the Crypt, but my family didn't have HBO, so I'd watch it at my buddy's house. And
Okay, so you grew up without cable too. I grew up without cable as well.
yeah. Well, we had cable, but it was on HBO, and we
Oh,
didn't have
HBO.
that. So
Okay.
we didn't have like the pay channels. Yeah.
Okay,
So
because by the time I got it, Fox was re-airing it, I guess. You know how,
okay.
yeah, because it was in syndication or whatever. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it was still brand new when I was watching them. Yeah. But the other big movie was, and I think they're remaking this now,
Magic.
Magic. Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
weird one.
Magic. As a matter of fact, I read about Otto Peterson in 250 years, and I'm just saying that as the rumor was Otto was the inspiration for Magic.
Yeah.
He George, who was his sidekick, and George was wooden. George was as dirty as they came. George had been stabbed by an audience member. There were so many stories about George.
Mm,
There was one story in particular where a hooker was called to his room.
mm,
Otto was not there, but George was waiting for her. And I asked Otto about all this, and he said, April, that didn't happen because I got to work with him on
mm.
Pig Roast. It was his streaming series on Bashbox. It's now available on YouTube. But he said that never happened. But he had dropped out of high school, was street performing in New York City, and George had a life of his own. And so it was always rumored that that Otto and George were the inspirations for Magic.
Wow. Yeah. And that was of course Anthony Hopkins in the movie.
Yes. And Anthony
Um,
Hopkins made that movie as quirky, in my opinion.
yeah, and well, see, that's what makes me wonder if they remake that. I don't know that they really can because you had Anthony Hopkins and you
No.
had Burgess Meredith was in it as well.
Oh, Burgess
And
Meredith
yeah,
rocked everything that he was in. And
right.
another fun fact about Magic is there's a scene where Fats heckles him from the audience.
Yeah.
A ventriloquist by the name of the great Lester,
Hmm.
who mentored Edgar Bergen. And the story there was Edgar Bergen used to wait outside the great Lester's stage door and just annoyed him until Lester was like, I will teach you everything I know. He used to have Frank Byron Jr. heckle him from the audience. That was his thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a background in comedy, right?
Well, not formally, no.
No, no, but they talk about cringe humor and stuff that pushes the
Right.
envelope.
Yeah.
And this is back in the day where people died in childhood like it was no big deal. He would call
Right.
his dead sister from the afterlife in his show.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's dark.
Oh yeah, but people loved it. And the Great Lester was the first big American ventriloquial superstar. And again, people would have forgotten about Lester if it was not for Edgar Bergen. And he
Hmm.
does one appearance on television. It's called School for Dummies,
Yeah.
where it's a whole classroom of dummies and he smokes a cigarette and does ventriloquism. And it's 1950 when that was okay.
Hmm. Yeah. Everybody smoked on TV.
Everybody
Yeah.
smoked in general and they wondered why they kept dying. So,
Right. But but yeah, yeah. I mean, there is kind of a darkness to it, and I mean, uh, do you find that your act allows for you to express some darker qualities about yourself? I mean, this kind of came up in the My Strange Addiction thing because you actually sit with a therapist and she asks you some of these questions, but
I
I
think
don't know
it
how much of
does.
that was for the camera, but yeah.
I think it allows for me to expose darker parts of myself, different parts of my personality. But I think that's every ventriloquist, because April as a person tries to be liked, and sometimes I try a little too hard to be liked, whereas my puppets don't always try to be liked.
Yeah.
A- And that was always the criticism that I got as a young one when I moved to New York City to pursue this. I attended NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. I had acting teachers say, "You don't think you're enough. You try to be liked too hard." That was always the big criticism. Did you get made fun of in school? Obviously, I'm a ventriloquist. You know, and I think I can. And I think April, the person, is very bookish and awkward. But the Mae Wilson is everything I want to be. She's out there. She's vivacious. She's the life of the party. She's the belle of the ball. She can drink everybody under the table
Right. Yeah, she
without
knows she's a star and she
she
doesn't
knows
need
she's
you,
the
right?
star.
Yeah.
She can do whatever she wants. Everybody wants her, and she just has access. Whereas April Brooker, if I did those things, I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah. And probably embarrassed, right?
Oh my God, so embarrassed.
Yeah.
So embarrassed.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. Because I can appreciate the time and effort that goes into it because we breezed right past that whole part is talking without moving your mouth. And you've written a book on the instruction end of this, right? As
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's called Don't Read My Lips. And I always tell people that it's a lot of the fundamentals, but also what I learned as a ventriloquist by doing it. It's
Mm.
also based on my experience. And I got the idea because pre-COVID, I was busy. I was in grad school. I was performing as an actress in an off-Broadway show called Murdered by the Mob. If you're in New York City, go see it in Huerta. I can't tell you how it ends. But I was doing that. I was performing as a ventriloquist. I was busy, and my manager kept saying, "April, you need to write this book. I'm busy." I move out to Las Vegas, have two preview weekends of my show. COVID happens. Nobody's doing anything. I'm doing Zoom shows. Uh-oh, it's time to write the book. So I
Yeah.
do. But I always tell young vents that bad venting is better than no venting at all because everybody gets so stuck on the lip control, and the lip control is important. All right.
Hmm.
But what's also important is making that character come alive, treating it as your scene partner. All my characters have a backstory, they have a personal object. I always say, sometimes when I get writer's block, how would this character take a shower?
Hmm.
Mae Wilson would,
Okay.
and I know that sounds crazy, but it gets you to know somebody. Mae Wilson would take a luxurious bubble bath.
Hmm.
Donald J. Tramp might have people scrubbing him like Coming to America. He's
Right.
crazy enough that he would do that. Joe
Yeah.
Bidentime would take a short cold shower. He's from
Right.
Scranton. He's got to
Yeah.
get stuff done. And it's going to be different than April Brucker. So you create that character on your arm. How would they eat breakfast? Mae Wilson, well, she'd have coffee. Well, she wouldn't eat breakfast. She would eat brunch, okay? Because she doesn't get
Yeah.
up that early.
Yeah.
Donald J. Tramp would have a whole spread and staff would cook it, whereas Mae would go
Yeah.
somewhere trendy. Joe Biden would have black coffee and toast because he's a practical kind of man. So it just, the different, and it just gets you to know that person, and that person should be different than you. And so, but if you know that character, the rest will come. And just, practice makes perfect. And
Hmm.
I'd have to say that I've known my character so well that Donald J. Tramp, he gets hate mail too. So, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, April Brooker could never get hate mail. She'd cry. Donald J. Tramp gets hate mail. It's okay. April
Yeah.
Brooker is not cool enough to get a bodyguard. Donald J. Tramp goes to Milwaukee. We were at Milwaukee in the RNC at 2024. We
Yeah.
hired a bodyguard for him.
Yeah.
And so when people say to my mother, how famous is April? April's not that famous, but Donald J. Tramp has a bodyguard.
Yeah, and Mae Wilson gets all kinds of proposals and love letters. So
Oh, she gets proposals and love letters. People write hate they write hateful things to Joe Biden time that, why doesn't he sniff my hair more? I mean, people get really invested. It scares the crap out of me sometimes, but it makes me question humanity, but it also makes me glad that people are watching and they're invested in my work. And all those
yeah,
hours in front of the mirror paid off.
but yeah, and because it is work, and that, I can that that's part of what I was getting at is like there's these arts that are just require a lot of effort and a lot of time and training to do well and or even to do it all, right? And
Yes.
ventriloquism sits right there in the middle with a lot of associated arts that are directly related to it, like stage magic or voice acting or acting
Yep.
in general or music, and
hmm
it ties into everything. So
And because of the tie-in with those associated arts, you have Paul Winchell, who had a tremendous career as a voice actor. He was Tigger
mhm,
and Winnie the Pooh. He had a
right.
bunch of credits, but because he came up on the circuit, he worked the Borscht Belt.
hmm
He did television. He really studied. Paul Winchell was probably one of my favorite people to write about. He was
hmm
just so adaptable because he liked Edgar Bergen but had his own radio show, but was drowning in Bergen's shadow and was
hmm
frustrated because he was a Jewish kid from New York City. And Jewish humor was, because of the Borscht Belt, this is post World War II, was starting to find its voice in mainstream America. Wood with Ed Sullivan.
hmm
He is like, where is this going? He was Columbia educated, very smart. Where is this going?
hmm
So he discovers, aha, I know where this is going. This is going to television. I'm a good ventriloquist. I'm going to help the arms move. I'm going to roll with the medium. And so all of a sudden, he's the hot young thing. And then cartoons come, and everybody's like, it's going to wipe out the puppet shows, whatever. Ventriloquism and puppet shows stayed. But Paul Winchell was like, I can do a lot with my voice. I'm going to jump in the booth. And he used to improv in the booth, and they used to keep whatever he improvised.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
that's
knew to let him
excellent.
go. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was his book was very influential as well
Yep,
to like
ventriloquism for fun and profit.
right, just to whole generations of events.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and he was one that he had polio as a kid and used to listen to Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. And
hmm
Jiro Magnon, who was his high school, actually middle school, I believe, art teacher, he said, "Could I carve a dummy as a project?" And he said,
hmm
"Sure." And that's how Jerry Mahoney was born.
Yeah. 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 Well, and it's just it really cool to do the deep dive. Like I said, reading the book, I was struck because it's like some of these people, Jerry Mahoney, Willie Tyler, and Lester Edgar Bergen, they're all people like I'd seen a little bit of and here and there and knew a little bit about. And but not much. Like I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know how they influenced other people. And that's one of my big obsessions in pop culture is tracing the roots of influence backwards sometimes, and
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing Paul Winchell did was he and Ed Sullivan
yeah.
especially, they brought ventriloquism into the American living room.
hmm
And Paul Winchell had the relationship with Jerry and Knucklehead that he was their guardian. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like ventriloquist and puppet. No, he was their guardian. But the other thing was um, Ed Sullivan, where he was inspirational, was he brought different performers into the American living room. And the Borscht Belt, if you know anything about back east, you're in Massachusetts.
Right.
Uh, this is, the Catskills in the
Yeah.
summer, Miami in the winter. He brought a lot of those acts because they were coming out of New York City. And one of the acts he brought was Ricky Lane and Velvo. And Paul Winchell was Jewish, but Winchell's not a Jewish name.
hmm
And, whereas Ricky Lane and Velvo were very Jewish. Velvel is Jewish for William, by the way,
Okay.
because he
Yeah.
slept in a William Gladstone sleeping bag. and he toured the circuit. He was one of those kids. He grew up with vaudeville parents. Well, he starts doing the Borscht Belt, and these folks are right from Europe. It's
Hmm.
after World War II. You get a lot of immigrants, refugees, whatever, and this is kind of where they would vacation. And you got to appeal to your clientele, Velvel,
Yeah.
William. And William Gladstone or Velvel was a very Jewish puppet. And there were agents that said, America's a little anti Semitic. You might want to tone that down. He wouldn't tone it down.
Yeah.
And when Ricky Lane opened for Nat King Cole, fun fact, Nat King Cole loved him and said to Sullivan, "You have to have him on." Because
Hmm.
Ed Sullivan could make or break your career. Ed Sullivan said, "I've never seen him." He never booked an act sight unseen. So
Hmm.
Nat King Cole said, "If he eats it, my next appearance is free." Guess what? Ricky Lane and Velvel killed it, and you had a Jewish voice in American living rooms, middle America. They never met somebody from the Borscht Belt,
Right.
somebody that went on vacation there. They loved him. They loved Velvel. Ed Sullivan loved Velvel. I believe he was on almost 48 times. He was on a bunch of times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's that like you said earlier, and a theme in the book is as an art form, it has a way of transcending genre or adapting to every new medium, right? So,
Yep.
yeah. So, and that's a wonderful example, and it uplifts all kinds of other performers and people of the same ethnicity or marginalized group or whatever, what have you, it lifts all, it's the rising ship lifting the other, what is that phrase? The rising tide lifting all the ships, you
Yeah,
know?
lifting all
Yeah.
the ships. Yeah, and it lets
Yeah.
people who ordinarily wouldn't have a voice carve a voice for themselves. Whether
Right.
it's Ricky Lane and Velvel, Willie Tyler and Lester, Waylon Flowers and Madam, Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop. You get to
Hmm.
carve a voice for yourself. And also now with the advent of TikTok and Twitch, you have Captain Jenny, Megan Casey, Christine Barger, carving, the niche for women. And it's just amazing. Zach Binder carving a niche for trans people in the vent community. It's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Well, the tradition continues, and that's great. So, I'm looking forward to the next 250 years of ventriloquism to see where it goes.
Me too.
Yeah, this has been an awful lot of fun. Like I really enjoyed having you on, and it was great to meet May and two presidents.
Yes, two presidents. And folks, check out 250 Years of American Ventriloquism. Mr. Bookington, where can they get it? Well, I'm available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And I have a 1-900 number. A 1-900 number? It's a Dewey Decimal joke. Let's talk
Right,
wherever I'm
okay.
at.
Yeah. And if people want to follow you, you're on Instagram. I know that's where I'm following you, but is
Yeah,
it
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X. Just type in April Brucker. AprilBrucker.tv is my website. I'm on YouTube, etc., etc.
okay? Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I don't want to get her riled up again, but thank May for me.
I will make. He says thank you, thank you. Okay,
All right, perfect. And she's probably getting her beauty rest right now.
he
Um,
is.
all right, thanks so much for coming on. This was a blast.
Thank you.